Hi everyone, my name is Mateus, and today we're going to talk about video games. Sony has revealed that God of War Ragnarok is the fastest-selling first-party game launch in PlayStation history. Revealed in a tweet, 5.1 million copies of God of War Ragnarok were sold during its debut week. As the post points out, this naturally means it set a God of War franchise record as well. The figure presumably includes both PlayStation 4 and PlayStation 5 copies, as well as physical and digital sales, but several games spread across two platforms have come and gone before it without hitting such a record. In comparison, God of War 2018 passed 23 million copies sold on PlayStation 4 and PC as of November 2022. Back in October 2021, it was reported that the game sold 19.5 million copies, but its launch on PC pushed it to a new audience. It was also Sony's biggest launch on PC to date, and it's certainly possible that Sony could bring God of War Ragnarok to PC and boost its sales there as well. Microsoft and Sony don't expect to launch next-gen consoles until 2028 at the earliest, newly published documents have suggested. Both companies discussed potential launch timing for new consoles in statements published on Wednesday as part of UK regulator the Competition and Markets Authority's ongoing investigation into Microsoft's proposed acquisition of Activision Blizzard. The CMA has expressed concerns about the impact the $68.7 billion deal could have on PlayStation's ability to compete, given that the merger would see Microsoft gain ownership of the Call of Duty series. This impact is likely to be felt especially at the launch of the next generation of consoles, where gamers make fresh decisions about which console to buy, according to the regulator. Sony and Microsoft both launched their current-gen consoles, PS5 and Xbox Series X and S respectively, in November 2020. In its response to the CMA's concerns, Microsoft said the next generation of consoles is many years away and claimed any impact from the Activision deal was highly speculative. The parties, Microsoft and Activision, do not dispute that some portion of gamers are likely to reassess their console ownership at the start of a new generation, it wrote. But they also note that this is an event that only occurs approximately every 8 years. The next new generation of consoles are not expected to be released before the fall of 2028 at the very earliest. Sony is arguing that there's a very real threat that Microsoft will make Call of Duty an Xbox exclusive, while its rival claims it has little business incentive to do so. Wherever the truth of the matter lies, Microsoft's statement also confirms that it has made a contractual offer to Sony that would keep Call of Duty on PlayStation through at least the end of 2027. Since Microsoft's comments were provided to the CMA, the company claims it has made Sony a 10-year Call of Duty offer. Hypothetically, even if it did intend to remove Call of Duty from PlayStation platforms after 2027, Microsoft argued that Sony has more than ample time to adapt its commercial strategy. In its partially redacted statement, Sony also references Microsoft's offer to keep Call of Duty available on PlayStation until 2027, and how this could impact the fortunes of its next console. Microsoft has offered to continue making Activision's games available on PlayStation only until 2027. By the time SIE launched the next generation of its PlayStation console, which is likely to occur around, redacted, it would have lost access to Call of Duty and other Activision titles, making it extremely vulnerable to consumer switching and subsequent degradation in its competitiveness, Sony wrote. Even assuming that SIE had the ability and resources to develop a similarly successful franchise to Call of Duty, it would take many years and billions of dollars to create a challenger to Call of Duty, and the example of EA's Battlefield shows that any such efforts would more than likely be unsuccessful. Elsewhere in its statement, Sony claimed that if Microsoft were to gain sole control of Activision's irreplaceable content, it could lead to the company increasing Xbox hardware, software, and subscription prices. Sony also claimed that Microsoft's true strategy behind the Activision Blizzard deal is to have PlayStation become like Nintendo and not compete in the 18-rated shooter space. Following the update, Pokémon Scarlet and Violet have surpassed 10 million sales globally in just 3 days. New data about the Japanese launch has been shared. According to Game Data Library, Scarlet and Violet have experienced the biggest launch ever for a video game in Japan, surpassing the recent record-breaking sales set by Splatoon 3 by an additional 600,000 units. Before these two titles came along, this title was held by Animal Crossing New Horizons on Switch. And for a long time before this, the Nintendo DS titles Pokémon Black and White held the record. Earlier Wednesday, Nintendo confirmed Pokémon Scarlet and Violet's 10 million sales were the highest global sales level for any software on any Nintendo platform within the first 3 days. The Callisto Protocol's director Glen Schofield has had to clarify some details about the game's season pass this week, after it was reported that some of the game's highly anticipated gore would be paywalled from launch. The misunderstanding likely comes from the game's listing on Steam, which offers a digital deluxe edition for $20 more than the standard game. The digital deluxe includes the game's season pass, which will consist of a skin collection, 2 new game modes, a story DLC, and a bonus of 13 new player death animations and 12 new enemy death animations. With the season pass purchase available from launch, and the Steam description missing any kind of timeframe for the extra content's release, some outlets reported that 25 of the game's grisly death animations, which have made up a large part of the game's marketing, would be locked behind a paywall from launch. While it's true that these animations will only be available to players who spend the extra money, which presumably will also be available later as a standalone add-on, Schofield took to Twitter to explain that this content hadn't even been developed yet. All the extra animations promised in the Contagion and Riot bundles will be bonus content available on top of the myriad grisly death scenes already in the game. Schofield added that this extra content is being developed in response to fan feedback, with players asking for an even wider variety of death animations. In a response to a later tweet, Schofield added that, "We put every freaking thing that was done in the shipping game." That's all the news for today, Friday, November 25, 2022. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like and subscribe to this channel. The links to all the subjects discussed in this video are available in the description below. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.